Hi, everyone. Welcome to Fin Factor. I'm your host, Blaine Birch, co-founder and CEO at Dry Run Cash Flow Forecasting Software. And I'm really excited to have joining me today, Ed Patton from PattonTrendr. Ed and I just met, probably about a week ago. We were talking a bit about what he does as his services and a little bit about how he helps businesses move forward and better understand their finances. And Ed's got a system of kind of 5 earmarks that he talks to businesses about, and I thought it was really interesting and a great way for businesses to kind of just kick that off and understand what's happening in their business. Thanks for joining me today, Ed.
Blaine, thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me.
So I do want to dive in now and just kind of get right into the mix here. You've got a system at PattonTrendr that you kind of pinpoint some of these issues that businesses really need to understand are financial earmarks. Can you start to give me a bit of an idea of what those are and how that works?
Sure. Blaine, let me first say why I do what I do. And it is, like a lot of us, it's based on experience and things that I've noticed, needs I recognize in the marketplace. So, how to attack those needs and fix.
Yeah.
My background, though, first of all, is general accounting, uh, KPMG, all that kind of stuff. Then investment banking with a small investment banking firm here in Texas, San Antonio, Texas.
Mhm.
And then just helping businesses understand their financial situation. And I got in, and Glenn, if I get off target, bring me back in because I'll start talking.
Yeah, no worries.
But please bring me back in. But I am passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about it, and again, it's based on experience. The companies I work with are early stage to 100 million in sales, and so a common theme amongst those is the leadership is extremely knowledgeable about their business, and they know their customers, they know their products, they know the competition, they know the market, but really finance is usually not a strong suit of theirs. And so,
Mhm.
just over the years working with these companies in both the accounting world and the investment banking world, I've been both a generator of financial information and a consumer of financial information, and work with companies one on one, meeting with them on a regular basis. And a common theme that came out of this, I'm sure a lot of us have experienced this, but that is they didn't see their overall financial picture. And so I started this process. It has evolved over time. And so what uh what is come down to is I have what I call the five elements of financial fundamentals. And those five are cash flow, operating earnings, and those two are the cash flow and the P&L side. And then the other three are the capital side, which is financial strength, value, and borrowing capacity. And what I found, if you understand, if you have visibility into those five, you really get to see your whole big picture financial situation. And so, I tell people, you'll start with the big picture. You can always drill down for more specifics. But
Mhm.
if you see the big picture, it starts to put into context, the rest of the financial review, the business review, and all that. But there are too many times we start at the bottom and work our way up, starting in more details. But there's so much data available, especially with
Yep.
modern accounting software and data and all that. There's just no shortage of details. But my experience is there's a shortage of a big picture, and so that's where I have companies. That's what I do to make sure they see that, and that is, and what this is, it's an addition to good information. It doesn't replace good information, but it's an addition to. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's, I'm not sure that answers your question, but that's where I went.
No, that and yeah, I'm gonna want to start to get into some of the detail there, but it's that's what of course, we're talking with businesses all the time,
Sure,
and we do get into the bit of the operational side, the
sure,
granular side, but usually that comes on the heels of them really understanding where the pinch
yeah,
points are in their business, where the problems are, and like you said, there's a lot of founders out there that, and we're talking to some really substantial
sure,
businesses. Um, they focus on the areas that they're familiar with, that they're comfortable with, and sometimes that means they'll turn a blind eye to some really key areas that they aren't maybe as versed in or as comfortable in. But sometimes those areas are the ones where there has to be some level of attention that maybe they do have to prioritize.
Sure.
Um, it is so essential for a business to take those next steps to truly understand kind of the full picture. And what I find interesting too, like of course we sit so much in the operational side, and you're talking, cash flow the number two, the sort of the operational revenue, where I don't recall, you have to correct me on that. But then it gets into like borrowing power and all these other things that are kind of go part and parcel, but can sometimes be ignored in the day to day. I want to actually just be able to slice and dice a little bit here, and just get kind of the overview of these five sections and how you think they kind of connect with each other. So
Sure.
let's start with the first one. I remember the first one was cash flow.
Right.
How do you like, what do you draw attention to there, and how is that the sort of the first step?
Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to that. Well, what I do with five, these five elements is what I call it. But is I go through these first of all. The first page on the Trendr package everybody gets each month is it's a one-page financial report card, and so what that is, it has these five items on there, and it's a red light, yellow light, green light report card, scorecard, and so sit down and manage that. If you're above this number, you're green. If you're below that number, above a bad number, you're yellow. If you're below the bad number, then you're red. And so it just gives you a really quick overview. And so, and I just show one number for each of those five items to start with. Always drill down for more details as needed, when it's critical, when you need to. But on the cash flow lane, I've got something different. I have something I call foundation cash flow. And so I have two proprietary reports. One is a cash flow statement, and then one is the financial health and liquidity calculation. And the reason for that, on the cash flow side, is traditionally it will use a GAAP cash flow statement, and it's my experience that that's really kind of a broken statement. It's there's a reason companies don't understand their cash flow, and I think it's because the cash flow statement is so illogical. It doesn't flow the way business people think. It mixes apples and oranges within their three categories, and so it can. I figured that out by sitting down with companies going through their cash flow. And I remember, a lot of this is built on experience. Going through one company that owner said, "I'm confused." Afterwards, I said, I'm really kind of confused too. So that made me start the process of developing a different kind of cash flow statement. But anyway, the cash flow number I look at is something I term foundation cash flow, and that is the change in working capital each month. And so, what a lot of people don't realize is the change in working capital is driven by the change in non-working capital components, long-term assets, long-term liabilities, and equity. And it's that way because, surprise, surprise, this is a ingenious statement, a balance sheet balances. And so, as we all know, the left side of the balance sheet balances to the right side. And also, though, people don't focus on the top half of the balance sheet balances with the bottom half of the balance sheet. And so the primary economic and business activities are on the balance sheet in the long-term items. Equity is, we won't go into, there's all kinds of variables could be in there. With the net P&L, the income statement is buried in the equity side. CapEx is on the fixed asset side. Term debt is on the long-term debt side. So when you look and see what caused those changes, that's really what causes your working capital, which is really your financial health, to go up or down. And so everybody likes to focus on current working capital, like receivables, inventories, payables. Well, those are really the tail on the dog. And those are really, if you think about it, those are holding things. Receivables is a holding thing. Payables is a holding thing. Inventory is a holding thing. The inventory you got to buy long, hope you're good, and that they'll sell. But the rest of those are just parked there. Most of your receivables are going to be collected. Payables, your payables are going to be collected. So all those are really just the tail on the dog. And so what's really driving it is that foundation cash flow. So that's where when I look at cash flow, say, get line, let's look at for your month, you either have good foundation cash flow or not. And so
Right.
if you made a lot of money on the P&L, your equity went up. If you had a huge capex, then that would have drained the foundation cash flow. If you had big payments on a loan, that would have drained it. If you had if you'd funded equity, made a distribution, I mean, all those things affected. And so the way the Trendr cash flow statement is built is it shows four categories: operating earnings, non-operating, which are those are the things on the long-term side of the balance sheet, then the working capital components, and then a line of credit up or down. I'm getting in the weeds, but anyway, that is. So when I look at cash flow, I look at foundation cash flow, and I found it really gives tremendous visibility into many financial aspects of the business. And it's an hour. I mean, when I'm sure you've seen, we've all seen it. We got that last month or 6 months ago or whatever. I forgot all about that. It's all I look at or is the P&L. And so,
Yeah.
so anyway, that's my cash flow story.
Well, and it's cash flow, of course, is near and dear to our heart here,
Sure.
and when we see businesses that they'll look at it, like you said, they can look at it very differently depending on the situation they're
Sure.
in, what their business is like, what their because some of them are fighting, some are fighting tooth and claw to get those receivables
Yep.
in, especially the aged receivables, and make
Yep.
sure they can fund the next step of their business. And other ones, it's they maybe don't have that battle, but they got a different one, and are we profitable? But we kind of have the money; it's kind of coming in, but is the business healthy overall? And a lot of moving parts and a lot of components in there, of course. And but I think the way you explained it makes a lot of sense, and I I kind of agree with you. Like you look at a cash flow statement, and it's like some of it feels like cash flow, and some of it kind of doesn't feel
Yeah.
like cash flow, right? So, even though it technically is, I suppose.
Blaine, really, a lot of this stuff, a lot of things. It's not rocket science, but a gap cash flow statement, any other trender cash flow statement, anything else, they show the change in cash. And so, really, it's just a matter of how do you group it, and then
Yeah.
and what makes sense for management. So,
Yeah. And that's, I think, the thing that floats to the top is one of the most important things is that you bring up is what makes sense to
yeah,
management.
yeah, yeah,
And we know, like, a lot of our partners at Dry Run, like that's one of the biggest reasons they use Dry Run is because they
yeah,
can the management team understands it at a glance, and that's how important it is. If you're not getting the message across, they might sit there and nod,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but
Um,
if it's not really sinking in, are you really doing a lot of good, or and are they going to make a mistake, right? And um, but I want to so I want to go into like number two.
okay.
So you start a cash flow. Now, what's the next sort of step that you get into?
Okay, then it's operating earnings, and so that's just basically it's EBITDA, but and so uh, operating, yeah, I mean operating earnings is huge. I mean, it's tremendously important. And again,
Yeah.
part of this too is uh, one of the big reasons people hire me, companies hire me, is because it gives them visibility into the financial side of the business in everyday language, in layman's language, and so uh, the operating earnings it is what it is, and everybody looks at it. But you think about the visibility again. Where does the operating earnings fit into cash flow, or vice versa? And then those two feed the capital side of the business. But when you look at operating earnings, and again the trend is break it down into higher categories that can always. There's so many programs can break down to the nth degree. So that's not what the trainers do. Just make sure you see the big picture. When you look at, I mean, operating, as you know, I mean, it's sales, it's gross profit margin, it's operating expenses. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it's your business. I mean, that is your business.
Mhm.
And so, don't add a lot there, other than it's just a big picture view of it. Plus, and you had brought up something that there's something now. it's all interconnected. And so not only do you
Mhm.
see it, but you see that it's interconnected. And so,
Yeah.
anyway, so operating earnings, not operational, not strong operational information here, but again, how does it fit in to the whole big picture?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and then you said like the other three of five here are based on sort of like you said, like your ability to borrow
Yeah.
and the strength on the other side of I suppose that's more of like the strength in the balance sheet. Sounds a little bit right, or
It is. It's what I call the capital side of the business. And so it's financial health, the value of the business, and then the borrowing capacity. And so those are the five. And really, what's interesting is you look at out of those five, and again, the first two are cash flow and operating earnings, and and then it's the capital side. Really, the cash flow and the operating earnings are a means to an end. And the end
Mhm.
result is the capital side. Is you go through this process. Well, did you come financially stronger this month or quarter or year? Did you or do you have more value or less value? And then the same when I said talking about borrowing capacity, it's the term that's supported by cash flow. I mean, it's always you can monetize, pretty easy to monetize working capital components with a line of credit. But that's kind of part of the whole working capital component side. Uh, so what? Again, this is where it's all interconnected. Cash flow, earnings drive cash. I mean, the sales drive operating earnings. Operating earnings really drives cash flow, assuming you're not taking out big distributions, big CapEx, big debt service payments,
Mhm.
and so then those drive where are you financial health wise? Is it going up or down? Same thing with value, up or down. Same thing with borrowing capacity, up or down. And so the the financial strength and liquidity is the second proprietary report I have. Most people report financial health is a ratio, quick ratio, current ratio, whatever that is. And so
Mhm.
if you're talking to businesses, so if you go to, John Smith and say, and John, you got financial health problem because your current ratio is 0.85 to 1 and it ought to be 1.35 to 1. Well, he's going to look at you and go, huh? Okay, what does that
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
the trend or cash flow, financial health, it's a dollar amount. At the end of the day, it's dollars. You got to know, do we have enough money to make payroll? Can we pay bills? Or, whatnot. So it's cash balance, availability on the line of credit. Then you're subtract past due payables because you always build up cash for that, and then up and coming, pretty big payments like taxes, accrued taxes. But you have that money, but you're not going to have it long. You pay quarterly, annually, whatever it is, and so then
Mhm.
that you net all that out. That's your liquidity, and that's a dollar amount. And then there's a target for company of each size, and that target is one less cost to run the business. And I don't know why that is, but it's just experience has shown that when a company has liquidity at or above 1 month's cost to run the business, they're liquid and well capitalized. And so what the trenders do is a table with that calculation. It has, a graph that shows, monthly, is it going up or down? And then where the target is. So you're above the target, below the target. And then there's more inside baseball stuff. We can drill down and see this is what made it go up or down. And
Mhm.
and and that foundation cash flow comes back is a huge part of that. And then there's a tail on the dog, the working capital components, and some other things too. So anyway, just so people go, well, yeah, can I afford to do this or that? You look at that graph, and in 2 seconds, you're going, you're way above your target, you're below it. So yes, you can, no, you can't, whatever.
Mhm.
Because reminds me, I've got two quotes I like to use. I'm kind of getting off target here a little bit, but one is it's uh, supposedly Leonardo da Vinci started, but it's simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. But it's
Mhm.
also reaffirmed by Steve Jobs. That was his philosophy on designing Apple products. And if you think
Yeah.
about it, I just remember my first iPhone, and this goes back before that. had a flip phone, and no telling what happened before that. And I just remember, time goes on, you have to get a new phone. And so I get a new phone, and God, I just hated the process. It just, it is new technology back then. Takes forever to figure it out. So finally, okay, I'm getting an iPhone. The world has changed. I got to get in. Not too very long ago that was. And we're, man, I'm dreading this. I'm dreading this. Went to the store, got it, took it out of the box, turned it on, and it was going. I mean, it was ready to go. I'm sure I'm
Yeah.
still on that some, but that thing was so well designed. And, and there's so much going on below the surface of the water, but you don't see it. All you see as a consumer is that smooth water up above. And so, that's what I try to do for the business owners. So let's just make this to where everyday language, you understand it. You have questions?
Mhm.
Great. Let's dig into it. So, the other quote I like too is only a few numbers in a few minutes. And so that's what I like to tell businesses. If you're doing well, you don't need to spend a lot of time on the things. I mean, you can, but really, this is for board meeting stuff. You go through here, 5 elements, you're okay, you're high okay, or whatever. If you're not
Yeah.
okay, we look at it, you start digging into it. You're okay, start talking about strategic and tactical issues and not, we've all been to these meetings where you end up, they look at the thing and say, well, this number looks funny. Well, they start digging into that number, and then that leads to this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That stuff wears you out to go through that
Yeah.
process. And the next thing you know, we've been here 2 hours. We hadn't accomplished anything, but it's time to go.
Yeah.
So trying to avoid that, trying to avoid just that.
Yeah, and it's like we've of course we've seen that. We had I still laugh. This is a couple of years ago or a few years ago now, but we had a business. I think they were like north of 5 million.
Yeah.
And we were in a meeting with the one of the business owners, but also one of the finance people.
Sure.
I don't remember what role it was, and it was such a different conversation, but the person in the finance department was looking back and said it was looking back through some of the past stuff and went back a few months and said this account's out by, it was like $8.37 or something.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like, you, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it's in the past, but honestly, we got that from you. We didn't make that up. Like, that came from your ERP. So like, don't, but that was this focus there. But then the business owners basically was like, yeah, kind of who cares? I'm trying to figure out if I can expand and I can do this and I can do that. And what we realized from some of those meetings is no, we had a bit of too much granular information, a bit too high up. It's like, if you want it there, you can dig a little further and you can get to it because there may be a reason, but probably not. But what we found, and it was a big sort of aha moment for us a little bit, is a business could get a bit bigger, and we've heard this numerous times from someone. It's just another zero. But the interesting thing is, it's like there's an extra zero on their revenue for the business, and the amount of information they want to see is like basically also cut down by a zero. Like they want to see way less information. It doesn't almost matter how big the business is. They still want to see this less information. So it's kind of like, instead of showing 10 times more information, 100 times more information, 1,000 times more information, it's actually 10 times less information, 100 times less information. It's just the same amount in the end. And it was really interesting to see how that worked. But yeah, like you said, if there's too much, it's not going to help. It just doesn't do anything.
No, but we're same experiences, saying the same thing, and well, what amazes me is, saying the same thing you are, is just been amazed that brevity really expands knowledge, and it's so counterintuitive. It just doesn't make sense. And by the way, in fact, I was having a meeting this morning. So somebody not on point, but a little bit maybe. But you're trying to be trying to be brief and all that. And somebody said this to me a long time ago, and it stuck with me. And it kind of goes with simplicity, but this quote I think is from Abraham Lincoln, but it said, "If I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter." And then so it just anyway. So it's just keep it brief, keep it brief, and it's not easy to do.
Simplicity is hard. We
Yes.
say that all the time at Drywin. Simplicity is hard. It
Yeah.
just and I had a creative agency for over a decade, and we
Yeah.
used to even say it then all the time because it was always easy to pile more in and try and get, and it was the discipline of truly understanding the problem and going, okay, how do we solve the problem with the least amount of information, the most elegant way, right?
No, that's right. Elegant's a good word. But I think it's finance and accounting people. We have so much information, and we want to make sure make sure you get it. And so, but the problem is we got to filter through there first before we give it to somebody. Everybody can always ask questions.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But it's also equipping them to do that because I've been in management meetings before,
Sure.
and it's like, people nod and
Yeah.
smile and you're like,
Uh, yeah.
no, they're lost too.
Yeah.
Like they're all lost. It's
Please keep
yeah,
it brief. And please keep it brief. So okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I want to dive in now, into the fourth one, because now we've gone through sort of the financial health and the cash flow and that. What is the fourth one as we get more into the on the kind of capital side there?
Well, okay, so we went into the financial health. So then it's value, and so there's not anything proprietary about that, but it's a generic valuation. All these numbers are locked up in your monthly balance sheets and P&Ls, kind of like we talked about on the cash flow statement. The numbers are all there. It's just, hey, package them together. And so
Mhm.
the value is, you got EBITDA each month, so it just Excel does this for everybody. So, or you can, and so you go in there, you have 12 months, you have a trailing 12 months EBITDA, and then you put a multiple to that, and then that is subjective. So, try 12 months EBITDA times the multiple gives you an enterprise value, then subtract interest bearing debt, add cash, and then that gives you the shareholder value. And then, but again, the nice thing is graphing it out. You get to see, are you going up or down, and so and it's not that like the fifth one, which is market capacity. It's not something you need all the time, but it's there, and it's a big component of the business, and so
Yeah.
it's a good to have, and especially as you're going out, if you're raising equity, you need that because you got to say to the investor people that potential investors that here again the trend is like everything else. You can go backwards, you can go forward. So if you do that, then here's your value 3 years down the road, and so if you put in $1 million and you get $5 million back, your internal rate of return is whatever the math works out to be. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, Blaine Long, no, it just brings up another point. This is not, but an interesting point I bring out to companies off the subject, but it's a numbers point. And so when you talk to companies, they're going, this. I don't know if I need all that. I'm a small company, and so I was talking to one business. They're doing 10 million sales. This guy was a humble guy. I don't need anything. So he looked at 10 million sales and I said, okay, look, I don't know what your business is, but let's say you're really profitable. You have a 10% EBITDA. So that means your EBITDA is $1 million. So this is back in the envelope, and you can do it while you're sitting in there in a meeting and you have a calculator, which I have my old HP12C. So you go in, you put 10 million, and your EBITDA is $1 million. So you subtract the two. So okay, Mr. Jones, your cost to run the business back to the envelope is $9 million. So he goes, yeah, okay, I get that. So okay, let's divide that by 365. That's the number of days of the year. Assuming you're open 365. You do that, it's almost $25,000 a day. And so they're shocked to see. I said, it's like you come to your office every morning, the controller comes in and puts a check in front of you for 25 grand, you sign it, and now you're looking around and make sure hopefully the phone's ringing enough or getting enough orders in to cover that. But when they see that, they realize they've really got a pretty big business here. And with that, they need visibility. And so anyway, it all kind of comes full circle and plays together. And it's a good selling point. It's an interesting point. And then it's insight. So, yeah. Anyway, I
Well, I
kind of
think
got
that
away from value, but
no, but it's all part of the package, and like the business owners I know I've seen it, I've experienced it too. Is you kind of wake up one morning and realize like how much it costs to keep the doors open,
yeah, yeah,
and it sort of creeps up on you, right?
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
look back and it's like, oh, geez, just 2-3 years ago, it was a fraction of this, and it's just sort of grown, and
yeah,
yeah, you're making more revenue, and you're covering it. And it's funny sometimes at the end of the day, you're like, man, there isn't that much more cash sitting there at the end of the day, but it's a lot more to run this thing. And that's when it starts, I think, is when businesses can start to look at there's probably a little bit more wiggle room. A $10 million business like you're talking, there might be a little bit more wiggle room, and that can have a pretty massive impact on the bottom
yeah,
line
yeah.
at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, I like to call that the rule of big numbers, and that is a small percent of a big number is still a big number. Yeah.
Still a big
So
number.
so if you give your 10 million, you cut out 1%, you've made 100, you've earned an additional $100,000. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not inconsequential
Yeah.
by
No,
any
no,
means,
no.
right?
And everybody focuses, yeah, understandably, I mean, sales drop. I mean, everybody's fascinated with sales, and they should be. That's good. But it's just, you need visibility into all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you've sort of gone through the five components. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense to me, of course. Talk a little bit about how this sort of package goes together and is
Sure.
presented, and how the impact that you see having on businesses.
Well, it's Excel based right now, and it's just driven by their internal balance sheets and P&Ls. Plus, if they have a working capital line of credit at the bank, the borrowing base report, because that plays into the liquidity. So that's all. It's information you already have. It's just stuff you already have. So the templates decide to summarize your balance sheet, summarize your P&L. Then that goes into the Trendr template Excel, and then that updates everything. And so what it is, it shows up to 36 months, and individual months, and then it has year to dates in there. Without getting into too much, that's how this is driven. And so
Yeah.
generally what I do is I get the company set up. It takes 2 or 3 months to get it up and going, and then turn it over to their people to update it. And I'm always there to, answer questions and all that, but really kind of keep the labor side on their part. I can do $100 million company in, 10 hours a month. And so, but get that off of me though, and let them do it. And it's informative. And so,
Yeah.
and a good controller can really help them start to advance their career and see more of what's going on. So, Lane, some internal people embrace this or want to do it. I'm talking about the sort of back office. Others just don't want to do anything new or different. So, but yeah, well, it is what it is. So you got to drive it out. So, does that answer your question? Is that?
Oh, no, 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 completely. And it was interesting because you mentioned like sometimes in the back room, people don't necessarily want to change or want to, and it's going down a little bit of a bigger path, but it is something that like sort of we all face when we're selling into bigger businesses. There's always numerous stakeholders, and you sort of have to figure out who they are,
Yeah.
and what, and somehow get them all on board. But when it's something like this, um it makes such good sense, and is for the health of the business, and of course the owners can definitely see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'd be a challenge to engage everybody that's involved in the whole circle of it, right?
But no, that's fine. But that's part of life too. So you got to plow through it. So,
Yeah.
um, we all face it.
So what kind of is there a particular sort of type of business or sector or size that you tend to work with a little bit more often than others, or?
No, it's really my sweet spot is it may just be in San Antonio. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and it's kind of middle smaller market. And so the sweet spot I've had is say 10 to 20 or 30 million in sales. But now with the internet and connectivity. I've got clients that we've never met face to face before, and so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where they are, literally in the world, and so, but it's when you get to that $5 to $10 million range, the first thing is you lose sight of cash flow. I mean, it used to be when you're smaller, you can look at your banking, you can every day you can look at your monthly P&L or whatever, and you have your arms around the business. But once you
Mhm.
start to get bigger, there's too many moving parts. Cash flow, there's working capital components, there's things not on the P&L, and so you just lose sight of them. You lose sight of the history of them, and so I'd say in that $5 to $10 million range, it really starts to get to where you need the visibility.
Yeah.
And that, the biggest client I've had is 100 million or really 95 million. They didn't quite make it to 100. I think it could go for bigger companies than that, but that's just not the world I live in. And so, plus, once you get bigger and bigger, you've got a more sophisticated staff. I mean, things change.
Yeah.
But even, sophisticated financial people can use this information.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's the ones that I think when they say it's just another zero, I'm like, yeah, they kind of get it, right?
Yeah.
Like they know this is still important, and it's easy to lose sight. It's the forest through the trees type thing, right? So
Well, but also, like, the people that have been with the multi-billion-dollar companies aren't that doesn't necessarily transfer into being able to run a $20 million business. I mean, it's just the whole world is different, and vice versa
yeah,
too. But
yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely. So how can people track you down if they want to learn about your system, learn about you, talk with you, connect with you? How
sure,
should they
sure.
find you?
I've got a website, PattonTrendr.com. Um, then phone number 210-822-9977. Email is info@PattonTrendr.com.
Okay.
Patton Trender Trender.com. And so,
Okay.
but um, what's I got two trademarks. One is Trender because
Okay.
clients just started using the word, when is this much Trender going to be right? And so, I trademarked that, and then five
Yeah.
element the financial fundamentals, five elements I've got trademarked. So,
Okay.
anyway, that
That's terrific. And I'll definitely add that into the show notes too. But this is really interesting, Ed. I really found it interesting. We were talking last week, and
yeah,
you're walking me
yeah,
through just not in this much depth, which I really appreciate. I
sure,
got a
sure,
chance to actually
sure.
learn about it. But those, like I said, this is something near and dear to our heart because, of course, we sit a lot of times on the operational side, but it's a big it's a big package to get to success, and there's the part where we need them to truly understand some of these gaps, and that leads into a lot of stuff that we do and we're really passionate about, right? So it's I found your system and what you offer and the simplicity of it really
Well,
appealing.
good. No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on here
Yeah.
too. So, and I enjoyed your podcast, and tell my San Antonio buddy, Mike Line, tell hello for me.
I definitely will. Yeah, I know you guys are both in the San Antonio neighborhood there, so yeah, it's great to hear. Well, thanks again, Ed. It was really a terrific time chatting with you, and I'll definitely get all of your notes into the show notes there, and definitely if you're looking for something like this, reach out to Ed, talk to him, learn about it, and see if it might be a fit for you or for your clients, or if you're advising clients. And also, I want to say, if you're looking for a way, if you have clients that are struggling with their cash flow, especially, there's uncertainty, there's complexity, there's volatility. That's where we really come in with Dry Run, and sometimes the more complex, the more we can help. So come visit us at dryrun.com.
Thanks a lot, Lane. I enjoyed it.